In a distant galaxy, far beyond the reach of human telescopes, there existed a powerful empire known as the NIGMA. The NIGMA were not like humans. They were tall, with shimmering skin that glowed faintly in the dark, and their technology was so advanced it seemed magical to lesser species. For centuries, they had explored the stars, conquering weaker civilizations and expanding their territory. Their ships could travel faster than light, and their weapons could destroy entire planets. One day, while scanning the edges of their empire, the NIGMA detected something unusual: a small blue planet orbiting a yellow star. It was Earth. At first, the NIGMA dismissed it as unimportant. The planet showed no signs of advanced technology, no great cities or mighty armies. But then their sensors picked up something strange. The creatures living on the planet, called humans, were changing rapidly. In just a few hundred years, they had gone from using simple tools to building machines that could fly and talk. This caught the attention of Commander Vexer, the leader of the NIGMA fleet. Vexer called a meeting of the Council, a group of high-ranking NIGMA leaders who made decisions for the Empire. He explained what they had found. "These humans are unlike any species we have encountered," he said. "They learn quickly, adapt even faster, and show no fear when faced with challenges." A council member named Zalora stood up. She was known for her caution and wisdom. "We should be careful," she warned. "Their rapid growth suggests they could become a threat if left unchecked. We have seen how dangerous it is to underestimate a species. Remember the Krellans. They were once considered weak, but they nearly destroyed us before we crushed them." General Krill, a bold and arrogant warrior, laughed at her words. The Krellans were fools who relied on brute strength. These humans are nothing more than animals playing with fire. Look at their wars, their greed, their constant fighting among themselves. They will destroy each other long before they pose any danger to us. Most of the council agreed with Krill. They decided to send probes to observe Earth more closely, but took no further action. After all, why waste time and resources on such an insignificant world? Meanwhile, on Earth, two scientists named Alex Carter and Rachel Brooks were working late in their lab. They were astronomers, studying the stars and searching for signs of life beyond Earth. One night, they noticed something odd. Strange signals were coming from deep space. At first, they thought it might be natural radiation or interference from satellites, but the signals kept repeating in patterns too complex to be random. Alex leaned back in his chair, rubbing his tired eyes. "What do you think it is?" he asked Rachel. "I don't know," she replied, staring at the data on the screen. "But whatever it is, it's not from Earth." Unbeknownst to them, these signals were coming from the NIGMA probes. Humanity had been discovered, and the seeds of conflict had already been planted. Neither side realized it yet, but the choices they would make in the coming months would determine the fate of both civilizations. And while the NIGMA Empire ignored the warnings about humans, Earth prepared, unknowingly, for the fight of its life. For now, though, everything seemed calm. The stars twinkled above, oblivious to the storm brewing below. The NIGMA Empire continued to observe Earth from afar, confident in their decision to ignore Zalora's warnings. Their fleet of probes hovered silently in orbit, invisible to human eyes. But even the most advanced technology can fail, and one fateful day, a small scout vessel malfunctioned during an atmospheric scan. The ship spiraled out of control, crashing into a dense forest near a quiet town in Montana. Sheriff Daniel Hayes was the first to hear about it. A local farmer had called in, claiming he saw something fall from the sky. At first, Daniel thought it might be a meteor or debris from a satellite. He grabbed his hat, jumped into his truck, and drove out to investigate. When he arrived at the crash site, he found a strange object half buried in the ground. It wasn't like anything he'd ever seen before: smooth, metallic, and glowing faintly with an eerie blue light. Daniel radioed for backup and called his deputy, Emily Ross, to join him. Together, They carefully examined the wreckage. Inside, they discovered odd tools and devices that looked far too advanced to belong to Earth. "What do you think this is?" Emily asked, holding up a small, cube-shaped object. "I don't know," Daniel replied, scratching his head. "But I've got a feeling we're not alone anymore." Word of the discovery quickly reached Washington, D.C., where government officials were alarmed by the news. They sent a team of scientists to recover the alien artifacts and bring them back for analysis. Among the experts was Alex Carter, who had been studying the mysterious signals from space with Rachel Brooks. When Alex saw the wreckage, his heart raced. Could this be connected to the signals they had detected? Back on the NIGMA homeworld, General Krill was furious when he learned about the crash. "How could this happen?" he demanded. "We need to fix this mess before the humans figure out what's going on." Zalora stepped forward again, her voice calm but firm. "This is exactly why I warned you. Humans are curious and intelligent. If they discover us, they will react unpredictably." Krill dismissed her concerns. Instead, he ordered his engineers to deploy drones disguised as weather balloons to monitor Earth more closely. He believed the humans wouldn't notice or care if they spotted something unusual in the sky. What he didn't realize was just how wrong he was. In Montana, Sheriff Daniel and Deputy Emily couldn't stop thinking about the strange object. They decided to take matters into their own hands and began investigating further. One night, while patrolling near the crash site, they spotted something moving in the woods. It was small, round, and hovering silently above the trees. Without hesitation, Daniel grabbed his flashlight and shone it directly at the object. To their astonishment, the drone emitted a loud hum and shot off into the sky, disappearing in seconds. "This isn't just some random accident," Daniel said, staring at the spot where the drone had vanished. "Something bigger is going on here." Meanwhile, Alex and Rachel worked tirelessly in their lab, trying to make sense of the alien artifacts. With help from a retired Air Force pilot named Jack Monroe, they pieced together fragments of data stored within the devices. Slowly, a picture began to form, a picture of an alien civilization watching Earth, studying humanity like animals in a zoo. As tensions grew, so did curiosity. News of the crash spread across the globe, sparking debates and conspiracy theories. Some people laughed it off as nonsense, while others demanded answers from their governments. Humanity was waking up to the possibility that they weren't alone in the universe. And the NIGMA Empire was about to learn just how dangerous that realization could be. For now, both sides remained unaware of the storm brewing between them. But the seeds of conflict had been planted, and soon neither would have a choice but to face the consequences of their actions. The discovery of the alien drone in Montana changed everything. Alex Carter and Rachel Brooks worked day and night, trying to unlock the secrets hidden within the strange devices recovered from the crash site. With Jack Monroe's help, they managed to decode fragments of information. What they found was alarming. The NIGMA Empire wasn't just observing Earth. They were studying humanity like lab rats, cataloging their behavior, technology, and weaknesses. "This is bad," Alex said, rubbing his temples as he stared at the glowing screen filled with alien symbols. "They've been watching us for years. They know more about us than we do about them." Rachel nodded, her face pale. "And if they think we're a threat, they'll act. We need to warn someone. Anyone who can do something about this." Jack leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "You think the government doesn't already know? Trust me, they're way ahead of us on this. But maybe we can give them an edge." While the scientists raced against time, tensions on Earth began to rise. Sightings of unidentified flying objects became more frequent. Farmers reported crops flattened overnight by mysterious forces. Pilots described metallic shapes darting across the sky at impossible speeds. At first, many dismissed these reports as hoaxes or weather phenomena, but soon even skeptics couldn't ignore the evidence. One evening, tragedy struck. A commercial airliner flying over Nevada suddenly vanished from radar screens. Moments later, it reappeared, plummeting to the ground in flames. Witnesses claimed they saw a glowing object hovering near the plane before it crashed. Hundreds of lives were lost, and panic spread like wildfire. People demanded answers, and governments around the world scrambled to respond. In Washington, D.C., President Laura Bennett held an emergency meeting with top military officials. Among them was Colonel Sam Griffin, a seasoned leader known for his calm demeanor under pressure. "We can't sit back any longer," he said firmly. "If these aliens are responsible for what happened, we need to strike back, and fast." President Bennett agreed. She authorized a covert operation to capture more alien technology and gather intelligence on the NIGMA empire. Under Colonel Griffin's command, a team of elite soldiers was dispatched to track down and recover one of the drones spotted near military bases. The mission was risky, but it paid off. The team successfully captured a drone intact, bringing it back for analysis. Back in the lab, Alex, Rachel, and Jack worked alongside engineers to reverse engineer the alien tech. One of the engineers, a young woman named Torres, proved especially skilled at deciphering the complex systems. Together, they discovered critical vulnerabilities in the NIGMA shields and weapons. For the first time, humanity had a fighting chance. Word of these breakthroughs reached the highest levels of government. Using the captured technology, Colonel Griffin led a series of counterattacks against smaller NIGMA patrols. Earth's forces, armed with new weapons powered by alien energy, inflicted heavy losses on the invaders. Each victory boosted morale and united nations in ways no one thought possible. Old rivalries faded as countries pooled resources and shared knowledge to defend their planet. On the other side of the galaxy, General Krill watched the unfolding events with growing frustration. His once invincible fleet was being challenged by creatures he had dismissed as primitive. Zalora approached him again, her voice tinged with urgency. "You see now, humans are not like other species. They adapt, they fight back, and they won't stop until we're gone." Krill clenched his fists but said nothing. Deep down, he knew she was right. But admitting failure wasn't an option, not for someone like him. Instead, he ordered reinforcements to prepare for a full-scale invasion. If humans wanted a war, they would get one. Unbeknownst to both sides, the conflict was spiraling toward a point of no return. Humanity had tasted victory, but the cost of survival was only beginning to reveal itself. As Earth braced for the next wave of attacks, the stage was set for a battle that would decide the fate of two civilizations, and perhaps the future of the galaxy itself. The war between humanity and the NIGMA empire escalated quickly. Earth's forces, armed with weapons reverse-engineered from alien technology, fought fiercely to defend their planet. But the NIGMA were not about to give up. Their ships grew larger, their attacks more brutal. Cities around the world crumbled under the relentless assault. Fires raged in the streets, and millions of people fled their homes, searching for safety. In the midst of chaos, Alex Carter, Rachel Brooks, and Mia Torres worked tirelessly in a secret underground lab. They had uncovered a critical flaw in the NIGMA shields, a weakness that could be exploited if targeted with precise energy bursts. Using this discovery, they designed a prototype weapon capable of disabling even the largest NIGMA ships. It was risky, untested, and humanity's only hope. Colonel Sam Griffin led the effort to deploy the new weapon. He assembled a team of skilled pilots and soldiers, including Jack Monroe, who insisted on joining despite his age. "I've seen enough wars to know how this one ends," Jack said grimly. "And I'm not sitting this one out." The first test came during a massive battle over New York City. The NIGMA fleet descended like a swarm of locusts, their ships blotting out the sun. Explosions rocked the skyline as buildings collapsed and streets filled with smoke. From a hidden base just outside the city, Colonel Griffin gave the order to fire the prototype weapon. A beam of concentrated energy shot into the sky, striking one of the largest NIGMA ships. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the ship shuddered violently before exploding in a blinding flash of light. Cheers erupted among the human forces, but there was no time to celebrate. The remaining NIGMA ships retaliated with devastating force. Fighter jets screamed through the air, dodging enemy fire while launching missiles at the invaders. On the ground, soldiers worked to evacuate civilians trapped in burning buildings. The cost of victory was high, too high, but humanity refused to back down. Meanwhile, Jack Monroe prepared for a daring mission. Alongside a small team of commandos, he boarded a captured NIGMA vessel, intending to infiltrate the Empire's mothership. The plan was simple yet dangerous. Disable the ship's primary weapons system, which had already destroyed several cities. If they succeeded, it would cripple the NIGMA fleet and turn the tide of the war. As the stolen ship approached the mothership, Jack clenched his fists, trying to steady his nerves. He had faced death many times before, but this felt different. This wasn't just about survival. It was about protecting the future of humanity. The team docked with the massive vessel and moved cautiously through its dark, metallic corridors. Every sound echoed ominously, and every shadow seemed to hide an enemy waiting to strike. They reached the control room without encountering resistance, but their luck didn't last. Alarms blared as NIGMA soldiers swarmed in, surrounding them. Outnumbered and outgunned, Jack and his team fought fiercely, using both human ingenuity and stolen alien weapons. One by one, the soldiers fell, but so did the humans. By the time Jack reached the main console, only 2 members of his team remained. With trembling hands, he activated the override sequence, shutting down the mothership's weapons system. The ship trembled violently as power surged through its circuits. "Let's go," Jack shouted, leading the survivors back toward their escape route. Behind them, explosions tore through the ship, chasing them like a vengeful spirit. They barely made it out alive, leaping into their stolen vessel moments before the mothership erupted in a fiery blaze. As they sped away, Jack looked back at the destruction they had caused. He felt no joy, only exhaustion. The battle was far from over, but for the first time, humanity had struck a blow that the NIGMA Empire couldn't ignore. Back on Earth, news of the victory spread quickly. People celebrated in the streets, lighting candles and singing songs of hope. But Alex, Rachel, and Mia knew better than to relax. The NIGMA weren't defeated yet, not by a long shot. And as long as the war continued, no one was truly safe. The destruction of the NIGMA mothership was a turning point in the war, but it came at a heavy price. The battle over New York City left much of the city in ruins, and thousands of lives were lost. Fires still burned in the streets, and survivors wandered through the wreckage, searching for loved ones or simply a safe place to rest. Despite the devastation, humanity clung to hope. For the first time, they had struck a blow so powerful that even the mighty NIGMA Empire couldn't ignore it. In the days that followed, Earth's leaders gathered in an emergency summit. President Laura Bennett stood before representatives from every nation, her voice steady but filled with urgency. "We've shown them we can fight back," she said, "but this isn't over. If we want to survive, we must strike at the heart of their empire, their homeworld." Colonel Sam Griffin presented the plan. Using data recovered from the captured NIGMA ship, his team had located the coordinates of the Empire's central planet. It was heavily defended, but if they could launch a surprise attack and destroy the core infrastructure, they might bring the NIGMA Empire to its knees. It was a risky mission, one that would require every available ship, soldier, and weapon. But there was no other choice. Alex Carter, Rachel Brooks, and Mia Torres worked around the clock to prepare for the assault. They upgraded the prototype weapon, making it more powerful and easier to use. Jack Monroe volunteered to lead a squadron of pilots, knowing full well that many of them wouldn't return. "If we don't stop them now," he told the others, "there won't be a later." The fleet assembled in orbit, a patchwork of ships from nations across the globe. Some were old fighter jets repurposed with alien technology, while others were entirely new designs built in secret factories. Soldiers loaded supplies, checked their weapons, and said quiet goodbyes to their families. No one knew if they would come back, but they all shared the same determination: to protect their home, no matter the cost. As the fleet approached the NIGMA homeworld, the enormity of the task became clear. The planet was surrounded by layers of defensive ships, each one bristling with weapons. Giant orbital stations fired beams of energy that could vaporize entire fleets in seconds. But humanity had one advantage: surprise. The NIGMA never expected such a bold move from a species they considered primitive. The battle began with a desperate charge. Earth's ships darted between the larger NIGMA vessels, firing their weapons and dodging enemy fire. Explosions lit up the void of space as ships on both sides were destroyed. Pilots screamed into their radios, calling for backup or shouting warnings about incoming attacks. Amid the chaos, Jack led his squadron straight toward the planet's surface, targeting the power generators that fueled the Empire's defenses. Back on Earth, Alex, Rachel, and Mia monitored the battle from their lab, their faces tense as they watched the live feed. Every loss hit hard, but they knew the mission had to succeed. Finally, Jack's squadron reached the generators. "This is it," Jack said over the comms. "Make it count." With a final barrage of missiles, the generators exploded, plunging the NIGMA defenses into darkness. Without their shields, the remaining NIGMA ships were vulnerable. Earth's forces pressed their advantage, destroying the orbital stations and clearing a path to the planet below. Colonel Griffin gave the order to deploy the upgraded prototype weapon. A massive beam of energy shot down from the fleet, striking the NIGMA command center. The structure crumbled, sending shockwaves across the planet. As the dust settled, the surviving humans regrouped. They had won the battle, but the cost was staggering. Thousands of soldiers had died, and countless ships were lost. Yet, for the first time in months, there was silence, a brief moment of peace after so much destruction. On the NIGMA homeworld, the Empire lay in ruins. Its once mighty leaders were gone, its armies scattered. Humanity had proven itself stronger than anyone thought possible. But as Alex stared at the images of the devastated planet, he couldn't help but feel uneasy. The war was over, but what kind of future awaited them now? The fall of the NIGMA Empire was swift and devastating. With their homeworld in ruins and their leaders dead, the once mighty civilization crumbled into chaos. Survivors fled to distant colonies, carrying fragments of their former glory, but no real hope of rebuilding. For humanity, the victory felt hollow. The cost had been enormous. Entire cities destroyed, millions of lives lost, and a planet scarred by war. Yet there was no time to mourn. The survivors faced a harsh reality. Earth needed to heal, and the scars of battle would take generations to fade. Back on Earth, President Laura Bennett addressed the world from a makeshift broadcast center. Her voice was calm but heavy with emotion as she spoke to billions of people watching from shelters, hospitals, or ruined homes. "We have won," she said, "but let us never forget what it took to get here. Today we honor those who gave everything to protect our future. Tomorrow we begin the long road to rebuilding." Colonel Sam Griffin stood beside her, his uniform worn and stained with ash. He had led humanity through its darkest hours, but now he looked older, weighed down by the sacrifices made under his command. Still, he remained focused. "This isn't the end," he told his team later that night. "It's just the beginning. We've proven we can fight together. Now we need to build together." Alex Carter, Rachel Brooks, and Mia Torres returned to their lab, which had become a symbol of human resilience. The trio worked tirelessly to adapt alien technology for peaceful purposes. They designed new energy sources to replace fossil fuels, created advanced medical tools to treat the wounded, and developed systems to purify contaminated water. Their work inspired others around the globe, sparking a wave of innovation fueled by the knowledge gained from the NIGMA. Jack Monroe, however, struggled to find his place in this new world. The war had left him physically and emotionally drained. He spent his days wandering through the wreckage of New York City, helping clear debris and search for survivors. At night, he sat alone, staring at the stars. "I did what I had to do," he muttered to himself one evening, "but I don't know if I'll ever forgive myself for what I've seen." Meanwhile, Zalora, the NIGMA council member who had warned her people about humans, emerged as a tragic figure in the Empire's final days. After General Krill's reckless decisions led to disaster, she seized control of what remained of the NIGMA leadership. Her first act was to send a message to Earth, offering peace and aid. But humanity, still reeling from the destruction caused by the invasion, rejected her plea. President Bennett delivered the response herself. "You had your chance to avoid this war. Now you must live with the consequences." Zalora accepted their decision without argument. She ordered the remaining NIGMA ships to retreat to the farthest corners of the galaxy, leaving humanity alone. As the last vessel disappeared into the void, she turned to her crew and said quietly, "We brought this upon ourselves. Let us remember the lessons of our arrogance, so that perhaps someday we may earn redemption." On Earth, life slowly began to return to normal. Farmers planted crops in fields once scorched by alien weapons. Builders constructed new homes from the rubble of old ones. Children played in parks where soldiers had once fought. Humanity had survived against all odds, proving its strength and unity. But deep down, everyone knew the galaxy was vast and full of unknown dangers. The war with the NIGMA Empire might be over, but the universe was far from safe. For Alex, Rachel, and Mia, the future held both promise and uncertainty. They had unlocked the secrets of alien technology, but they also carried the weight of what it had cost. One evening, as they stood together looking at the night sky, Alex broke the silence. "We've changed the course of history," he said softly. "But I wonder, will we use what we've learned to make things better? Or will we repeat the mistakes of the past?" No one answered. The question hung in the air, unanswered but impossible to ignore. Years passed, and Earth slowly healed from the scars of war. The cities that had been destroyed were rebuilt, stronger and more resilient than before. New technologies, born from the study of alien artifacts, transformed daily life. Clean energy powered homes, advanced medicine saved lives, and global communication brought people closer together. Humanity had emerged from the ashes of conflict, not just as survivors, but as a united species with a newfound sense of purpose. Alex Carter, Rachel Brooks, and Mia Torres became legends in their own time. Their work during the war had given humanity a fighting chance, and their efforts afterward helped rebuild the planet. They traveled the world, sharing their knowledge and inspiring others to dream bigger and aim higher. Yet despite their achievements, they never forgot the cost of victory. Every new invention reminded them of the lives lost. Every starry night brought back memories of the battles fought among the stars. Jack Monroe eventually found peace in his quiet hometown in Montana. He spent his days teaching young pilots how to fly, passing on the lessons he had learned during the war. Though he rarely spoke about what he had seen, his stories of courage and sacrifice inspired a new generation to protect the freedoms so many had died for. On clear nights, he would sit outside, gazing at the sky, wondering if anyone else was out there looking back. The NIGMA Empire, once feared across the galaxy, faded into legend. Fragments of their civilization remained, abandoned colonies, derelict ships drifting through space, and scattered records of their rise and fall. Archaeologists uncovered these remnants over time, piecing together the story of a proud empire undone by hubris. One phrase echoed through history, recorded in the final transmission sent by Zalora. They ignored the warning about humans and paid the ultimate price. For humanity, the legacy of the war was both a reminder and a promise. It reminded them of their fragility, how easily everything could be taken away. But it also promised hope that even in the face of overwhelming odds, they could stand together and overcome anything. Nations no longer fought each other. Instead, they worked side by side to explore the stars, driven by the belief that understanding was better than fear. One day, Alex stood with Rachel and Mia at the edge of a launchpad, watching as a sleek spacecraft prepared for its maiden voyage. It was humanity's first step beyond the solar system, built using a combination of human ingenuity and NIGMA technology. The mission was simple: to seek out new worlds, to learn, and to share Earth's story with whoever or whatever they might find. As the countdown began, Alex turned to his friends. "Do you think we're ready?" he asked. Rachel smiled softly. "We'll never truly be ready, but that's never stopped us before." Mia nodded, her eyes shining with excitement. "And besides, isn't that why we're going? To find out what's next." The rocket roared to life, its engines lighting up the night sky. As it ascended, leaving Earth behind, the three of them watched in silence, hearts full of hope and wonder. For the first time in years, the future felt limitless. In the decades that followed, humanity reached farther into the galaxy than anyone thought possible. They discovered strange new worlds, encountered alien species both friendly and hostile, and learned valuable lessons about survival, cooperation, and humility. Through it all, they carried the memory of the NIGMA Empire, a cautionary tale of arrogance and underestimation. And somewhere, in the vastness of space, the faint echoes of Zelora's warning lingered. Perhaps one day, another civilization would hear it and choose a different path. Until then, humanity moved forward, guided by the belief that even in the darkest times, hope could light the way.